gentlemen, we're not going to wait, but we are missing one candidate there on the end of Ward 1. Welcome to tonight's Hastings City Council Wards 1, 3, and 4 forums, hosted by the League of Women Voters Hastings. I'm Cheryl O'Curran, and I am the moderator for tonight. I am a member of the League of Women Voters Hastings. Co-sponsors tonight are the YWCA of Adams County, the Hastings Area Chamber of Commerce, the Hastings Public Access Channel, Hastings New Sertoma Club. The Hastings Public Access Channel is recording the forum, so please encourage your friends who couldn't come to watch on the HPAC television channel or to watch on the HPAC YouTube channel. The League of Women Voters of Hastings is a nonpartisan, grassroots, civic organization that encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League does not endorse individual political candidates or political parties. Membership in the League is open to people 16 years and older of all gender identities. As you know, we have 3 different forums tonight. The Ward 1 will begin here in just a few moments. At 7:30 we will have the Ward 3, and at 8 o'clock we will have the Ward 4. So there will be a small break in between each to switch our candidates out here and get ready for the next bit. If at any time you do need, the restrooms are out there through that door. Tonight's candidates for this first forum are candidate Sierra Edmiston, candidate Grant Marsh, candidate Jimmy Mears, candidate Ron Stevens, and candidate David W. Worrell. I'll introduce the others when we get to that point. Our media panelist tonight, representing the Hastings Tribune, is Andy Ron. The format for tonight's forum, and that is not easy to say, is that each candidate will be allowed a 1-minute opening statement. After that, the media will ask a question, and then we will use audience questions, audience written questions. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to answer each question. If a candidate feels that incorrect or misleading information has been stated about them, they may ask for a 30-second rebuttal. There will be no rebuttals of rebuttals. Questions for the candidates will be asked in rotating order. League of Women Voter Hastings members Libby Florian and Amy Harrius will be timing this evening. The green, ladies and gentlemen, will signal you to begin. Yellow means that half of your time has gone by. Red means to stop. You may finish your sentence. I'm an English teacher. I know how long English sentences should be. Audience. If you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand. And the League of Women Voter Hastings members, Jody Stutzman and Kitty Grace, will bring you a paper and pencil. Please write your question down, raise your hand again so your question may be picked up. The questions will then be brought over to here, and Ginny Skutnik and Bella Junker will review them, and the reason they review them is to make sure that there are not duplications, and to be sure that I can read them up here. Let's see, we ask that you keep your questions pertinent to the issues and that there be no personal attacks. Questions should be for all candidates of this particular ward. We ask, but cannot demand or regulate, that Ward 1 questions and people from Ward 1 who have questions, those will be given priority for the Ward 1 forum, and then for Ward 3, and then for Ward 4. The forum will conclude with a 30-second closing statement from each candidate. Please, no applause until the end, and with that will be the end of each ward. Okay, I think that's everybody that we need to know here. What we will begin with then is an opening statement, a 1-minute opening statement from each candidate. We will begin on this end with candidate Edmiston.
First, I want to say thank you to the League of Women Voters for holding this forum. You know, I appreciate the effort it takes to put these events on. I'm proud to say that I was raised in Hastings, and it's the community I wanted to raise my children in. I'm not a politician. I'm not, polished. I'm not any of that. I'm a mom of four. I volunteer with many different organizations here. I'm the vice president of the board of directors for Encourage. And I've been on the South Side for over 8 years now. Hastings has instilled many values in me. Work hard, care for each other, don't give up. And I've worked in the service and health industries, caring for people and putting people first. And I've always put Hastings first. I listen to what the community wants, and I will represent the people, not special interests. In many conversations on the South Side, there's a lot of hope and a lot of work to be done. And I don't shy away from hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Marsh.
Yes, thank you, League of Women Voters, for putting this on. I'm Grant Marsh. I was born and raised right here in Hastings, Nebraska. After graduating high school here in Hastings College, I then moved on to Omaha to go to nursing school, and that's where I met my beautiful wife, Tiffany. After a short while of living there, we decided it'd be good to move back to Hastings because we knew it was a safe and secure place to raise a family. As a nurse and a small business owner, I know what it's like to make tough decisions that affect real people. The reason I'm running for city council is because I care deeply about our city, and I want to make the best decisions that benefit the people of Hastings. Ultimately, I want to see our city keep moving forward in a way that's practical, steady, and focused on real progress. Thank you.
Candidate Steve Mears.
Thank you for leading women's voters for having us come. I wasn't born and raised here. I was born and raised in Davenport, Nebraska, 50 miles southeast of here. I come here in Hastings in 1987 when Dad and I lost our farm. So I worked for Jack Osborne out in industrial irrigation to start with, and then I've been living around Hastings all the rest of the time I've been here. I do have 26 years in the Guard and the regular Army. I was drafted in '68 for Vietnam, and I served 2 years in Thailand as support for Vietnam. And then I went to Iraq with the Guard in 2004. But I live out at the Good Samaritan Village, and most of us feel like that we aren't part of the city, seems like. That might be just my opinion, I don't know. But I thought I'd try to run and see if I could help out the situation there and any place else. I guess my time's up.
Thank you. Candidate Stevens.
Hi, my name is David Worrell, and like Jimmy, I'm not from here. I've lived here in Hastings for about 20 years now, a little over. When I first came here, I was in Crossroads Mission. I have a little bit of a past, and I've had some trouble in my life. With that, I was able to build a home here. Hastings gave me a second chance and a place and an environment to do so. I've raised my son here, who's a sophomore at St. Cecilia's, and I have 3 wonderful stepsons that also have gone to St. Cecilia. I've ran a few businesses here. I've been a coach, and I've done a lot of giving back to the youth in Hastings, and part of the reason I'm running for city council is because I feel like we can do better than what we've got right now. There's a lot of kids out there that we can do things for. We need to help revive the South Side, and that's why I'm running, is to give Hastings the second chance like he gave me. Thank you.
Thank you. And I went by the way your names were initially, and so I have been corrected that is candidate Worrell. Ron Stevens will not be here tonight. He has to work. I apologize for that. We will now have our first question from the media, and as you, right, the second, I think, did Elaine explain how you just pass it? All right, so, media question.
Good evening. As it looks for ways to generate more revenue to cover city operations and capital needs, the Hastings City Council has been looking at such possibilities as enacting a restaurant tax. While many find appeal in the idea of allowing our visitors to help share in the costs of city operations through a restaurant tax, others worry that by raising the cost of prepared food and beverages, the city might inadvertently hurt restaurants and bars by prompting patrons to cut down on their number of visits. What is your view of a restaurant tax for Hastings?
You will have 30 seconds.
I actually think that's a really good question. I think a restaurant tax can be beneficial if it's done responsibly. I think you have to talk to the right people and come up with a solution that benefits everybody without hurting the restaurants and hurting the bars. So if we can come together, like as a city council, talk to the owners of the restaurants, talk to people that it affects, and find out an appropriate tax that helps the city without hurting the restaurants, I think that's a very beneficial way to do it. Thanks.
I agree with what he said, but like you said, we need to talk to the restaurants and see what their feeling is. I've paid it in other cities, I've gone there. It don't necessarily cut me back, but it might cut back how much I eat. Something like that, but I don't think it really hurts. It helps out the city as a whole. But I'm learning about this stuff. I will look at it and see, but I won't make no decisions or promises.
I would like to look at some of the numbers first before I make a decision on that. And the reason why is I think we have to be responsible to the owners of the businesses that are here in Hastings. We lose a lot of business traveling north already, going to restaurants and places to eat. And I feel like just thinking about it, it might hurt what we have here if we detour them from giving them another tax on it. I feel like Hastings is already really taxed enough. So I would like to look at some of the numbers and see what they actually look like and see where other communities have done. Thank you.
Thank you.
For me, I would say my gut reaction is concern. You know, like Dave said, you know, we do lose a lot of business going up north, and you know, I don't want to see that happen for Hastings. I understand the appeal of, you know, of out-of-state people, you know, or out-of-town people, you know, paying. But it is a concern, especially, you know, being on the south side. You know, it is an area with a lot of more lower income, and so I just worry about how it'll affect, you know, Hastings' lives.
Thank you. If you'll pass that down. Our next question. There is an abundance of negativity on social media these days. What can you, as a council member, do to reduce false information?
I didn't hear all that. Would you read it again, please?
Absolutely. There is an abundance of negativity on social media these days. What can you, as a council member, do to reduce false information?
Well, I guess I just listen and see what there is and research and see if I can figure out what's true and what's not true. I know there's a lot of false stuff out there on the different medias and things. Just can't believe what you hear anymore or see without researching it and see what it is. So I guess I'll just keep researching like I always do.
This is a really good question, since I've been kind of a victim of some slander lately myself. It's a hard one because social media, people are infringing on your First Amendment rights. But there has to be some accountability. There's several groups out there right now that'll let people post anonymous, and I don't feel that that's right. You should be able to post with your name and have the accountability that goes along with that. So that's a tough question. I think there's something that we need to look at without infringing. Thank you.
You know, I do agree that it is a concern and it is a problem. You know, there is a lot of false information out there everywhere, and it can be hard for anybody to figure out what's true. And so currently, you know, I have a page on Facebook for my city council run, and I would be turning that into the city council member page. And I would be posting, you know, what is really going on with the votes, what is really going on with transparency, and what is really happening. And that's one of the things I'm going to commit to is to make sure we keep that up to date.
Yeah, I do agree that there is some negativity on social media, although I do think a lot of it comes from a small group of people. I think one of the biggest ways we can address this is by being transparent as council members, being willing to show everything we're doing, the reasons why we're voting on things, explaining ourselves and why we made those decisions. And secondly is being able to be out in your ward and talking to people so you know exactly what people are actually thinking and why they're thinking it. I think those are two ways that you can really battle the negativity on social media.
Thank you. Our next question. What is your idea for a middle school crossing?
Well, a middle school crossing, I've had a lot of people that I've been talking to as I've been knocking doors out there that are talking about this. And I brought it up at the last meeting forum that we had. I've seen kids literally climbing over railroad tracks and trains trying to cross. Now I've seen over by Sutherland, Nebraska and Knoxville, they have little walkway bridges that they could build. They don't look horribly expensive, but they're really something that I think we should get involved with the railroad and see if we can find a safer way for our kids.
I would say I think that Dave was reading my mind on that one. You know, I am used to going into Omaha at times for work, and they have some great walkable bridges to get over some of their more busy roads. And you know, looking into those options, I think would be what would easily solve that.
Yeah, so my last kid right now is just getting out of the middle school. She's 14 years old, and I will say there is a big problem over there as far as traffic and kids crossing the street. It's hectic. So a bridge, yes, is definitely something that can be looked at. I think you got to get with the right people. I'm personally not an engineer, so we need to talk to a lot of people and see the different solutions that could be done out there, and then make a decision for the best one that can benefit those kids, so keep everybody safe.
I agree with the rest of them. I think they should have a bridge going over. I noticed in Gibbon they got one, and I think they got one in another town east there, I can't remember. But they make it so it's safe to go across the tracks, because there's two railroad tracks there, those places. And I know kids are trying to get to school and crawl over or whatever if there's train parked there, and that's very dangerous because you don't know when the train's going to move or what's coming.
Okay, I think we're down here for the microphone. Okay, the next question. What do you believe Ward 1 needs most?
The thing that I believe Ward 1 needs most is some sort of community project or organization or something to help with bringing engagement to the youth and our families. You know, we lose so many families because as kids get older, there's nothing for them to do. And so we have families that move away. And, you know, that's heartbreaking to me. You know, I want people to invest in our community and stay in our community. So we need to do more for our children.
This is a really good question and something I think about a lot. I think the number one thing our ward needs is investment, and that can come in two forms. One, business investment in the forms of restaurants, places like she's talking about. And that can be done through working with our CRA and our HEDC and our chamber to find ways to incentivize businesses to move down there. And then another way is to bring more families into the ward, because not only do families make it a better place, but it also expands the tax base. So if we can bring more families in by working with states to bring in grants to get more funding to build more residential properties. Thank you.
I think one of the things we need, if we could, is get a grocery store down there. We used to have one at Conifoods when I first moved here. I lived up north, but I come down there because of the store. It was good. We need to work on the coding of the area and try to see about the taxes where they're spread evenly over the city, not just up north, but down south as well. There's a lot of history about down there. I got thinking the other night about it, and it's really changed since I was last drove through there a year ago.
As I walk through the community down in Ward 1, and I've knocked probably more doors now than I ever did on Halloween. And I can tell you right now, and I'm not getting any candy either, but a lot of these people are asking for grocery stores, like Jimmy just said. You know, the south side is probably the lowest income base in the city, and they have to travel the furthest, whether it's to school or to get groceries, things like that. So, as Grant said, I think we got to find some ways to reinvest into the south side and find the money for it.
Thank you. Our next question. How do you plan to help Ward 1 have a voice on City Council and across Hastings?
Well, I think that's a really great question. I think that's exactly the reason why we're out here running for City Council in our ward, because we want to talk to the people, meet with them, and be a voice for them. So I think one of the number one things is being open and transparent, like I said before, with your decisions and why you did them, but also being available to the people. So I would have my Facebook out there, my phone number, my email. You can contact me anyway, and I'll listen to what your issues and concerns are, and help that affect my vote when I'm on the City Council.
I lost my train of thought.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
If you would, please.
No problem. How do you plan to help Ward 1 have a voice on City Council and across Hastings?
Well, I will look into everything that's going on, try to improve, but I won't make any promises, but I will contribute what I think and what I learned. I don't know. It's a difficult question for right now. I have to sometimes think about things a little more than what I want to say.
Absolutely. How do you plan to help Ward 1 have a voice on City Council and across Hastings?
First thing I would do is start reaching across the aisle to my other people on the council. Talk to them and find out what we can do to do better. Listening to people that I'm talking to every day when I'm knocking doors, those people are the ones that I'm there to represent. So when they tell me they need something, I need to listen to that, and I need to bring that back as a council member and talk to the people that are also council members and try to get that transparency out there so that we can communicate with each other the best, and not just on city council, but other council members.
My plan would be having conversations with people, getting out there and talking to people in Ward 1. You know, I've been having a lot of conversations and realizing that many people on the south side, you know, they don't feel like their voices are heard. I spoke to a woman the other day. She had lived over at Smitty's, you know, for over 30 years. And she told me I was the first person that has ever come to her door, and she's been a registered voter the whole time. Nobody's ever asked her what her concerns were. You know, we have other pockets around town that are like that as well, and we need to get out there talking.
Our next question. What are your thoughts on levy and real estate appraisals?
I hate it when I have to start. I never did like appraisals necessarily, because I always felt they were wrong, that they were too high priced. But it's necessary in order for the city to survive and figure out what needs to be taxed or how much tax and stuff like that. Like I said, it's short for me to be talking and thinking of stuff. There I go.
30 seconds is a pretty quick answer. But levies is something I really don't know a whole lot about yet, but I'm still learning. The thing I can do for my constituents is talk to the people that do know. I have a lot of people that I can contact and actually get more information than just my own ideas, because actually it's not just for me, it's for everybody. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on levy and real estate appraisals?
I would say, that is a concern of mine. I have recently become a property owner a few years ago, and so I didn't, realize just how much all that went into there. And so I think for me is definitely talking to our experts in our community who know these things, and understanding them better. I understand that like our property tax rate is like 42 cents ish per $100. I don't really know much beyond that, and so I definitely need to do more learning.
All right, so I know our city's levy has two portions to it. It has the city's budget, and then that's divided by the total appraised value of all the property in the city. So number one, you have to start with the budget. You have to have a responsible budget. You have to work with the city council and the other members of the city government to form a good budget for our city. And then on the appraisal side, we have a vote for the county assessor coming up. They're doing the appraisals in this county, and if you want your appraised value, you got to select the right person for that to get the proper values appraised at the proper prices. And I think that's the best way to explain how we can get a responsible levy in this city.
Thank you. What are some revenue options to help with a $2 million deficit besides cuts to services?
Well, we definitely don't need to cut any services, because we have to have the emergency services and all the other services that are out there, like the library and things like that. And that's kind of a sore subject right now. But what I would do is I would do something to try to entice more companies to come in and try to get more people to move in, other than just apartments. We have to get home ownership up, and we need to bring people in here that are ready to work. We need to get companies that are ready to invest into Hastings, and we have to find tools to do so.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure.
Sorry.
It's not a problem. What are some revenue options to help with a $2 million deficit besides cuts to services?
So some revenue options that I really think we need to look into is, again, bringing in businesses that can help engage our families and our children. That would definitely help. Also, just having better economic cooperation within our city. There are nonprofits in our town that work to bring businesses in, and they are the experts. And I feel as a council, sometimes they try to get micromanaged and, say no to everything. And so we need to be better at allowing businesses in.
I think one of the best ways to accomplish this goal is to expand the tax base. And the two best ways to do that, I think, number one is to bring in more businesses and families. You have more people and businesses paying property tax and taxes and things like that without having to actually raise the taxes. Number two, and I know it's a scary word, there's ways that you can do annexation responsibly to bring in, for instance, those businesses or those big factories outside of town, and you can do that in ways that can expand the tax base, bring in more revenue for the city.
Thank you.
As council members, whichever one of us get elected, we can't bring in businesses. That's the committee HEDC is supposed to do. That's what they were formed for. But I understood before, it was lack of housing. A lot of them didn't want to come in business because there's not room for their workers. That's changed now. We got a lot of housing. Now we just need to get to working to invite more businesses in, which brings in more taxes and more money for the community.
And everybody has answered that, right? Just hang on to it down there, because that's where we're going to start with our Our half hour is almost up, so we're going to conclude with a 30-second closing statement from each candidate, and we'll start on the end and just pass the, we'll go in reverse order. Yes, thank you.
My name is David Worrell once again, and I want to thank you guys for being here. It's important that the community gets involved. For me, it's my faith, my family, and my home that mean the most to me. So with that, I'm going to pass this over to Jimmy and wish you guys a very, very good evening.
And I'm Jimmy Mears. I'm learning a lot, and I understand I'm going to learn a lot as I keep going here. I hope that everybody could vote for me. It would be nice. I served in Vietnam and Iraq, and I still got your back.
I'm voting for Jimmy. No. Like I said before, I'm Grant Marsh. Also want to thank the League of Women Voters again for having this. These are great ways to get our voices out there. But if you're going to the polls here in less than a month, I want you to remember that I'm a calm, common sense voice that cares very much about our city, and I want to see it progress and grow in a way that's responsible, in a way that benefits the people of Hastings the most. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters as well, our moderator, and all of you guys for being out here tonight. I know I'm not your average politician. I'm not polished. I don't know everything, but I know how to listen, and I know how to fight for my community. Every conversation, the same issues are coming up, and I'll put in the hard work. I want to provide more engagement for families and children. Being open, honest, accountable, and transparent. I'm not run by special interests. I'll represent Hastings, represent the South Side with a Hastings First approach.
Thank you. And applause, please, for all of our candidates. Thank you very much. We'll take a couple of minutes to stretch your legs and go back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you can take your seats, and we will get started with our Ward 3 candidates. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please. Thank you. I won't do the whole opening again, but I will certainly introduce our Ward 3 candidates. In front of us right here, we have candidate Scott Freeberger, candidate Lucinda Glenn, candidate Elba Iris Nazario, and candidate Mark Rowan. Candidate Aaron Cook will be on the ballot because he did not withdraw soon enough for his name to not be on the ballot, but he has withdrawn from the race. Okay? But his name will be on the ballot, but he has withdrawn. All right, we will continue with the same format. 1 minute opening statements, followed by a question from the media, the Tribune. All right, so openings, did she explain the microphone? It's easiest if you just leave it on as you pass it down. Okay, and we will begin here with candidate Freeberger.
I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out. I'd like to thank the LWV for having us out tonight. My name is Scott Freeberger. I'm a third generation Hastings kid. I've lived here 45 years. I can remember, I guess, when I was a little kid, there seemed to be a lot more things to do. We've seen a lot of things come and a lot more things go. I think all you guys probably know what I'm talking about. I'm here today because I'd like to run for City Council, and I think we can make Hastings better. Thank you.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event, and thank you to all of you in attendance. Engagement is what democracy is all about, and engagement is one of the many things that I love about Hastings. I'm Lucinda Glenn, and my husband Roger and I moved to Hastings in 1997 and raised our 3 children, Sean, Julia, and Murphy here. We came by choice for the lifestyle, and we've never regretted that. I've done legal work for the families of this community ever since. I'm now serving the 3rd and 4th generation of some families. I've served on multiple boards. I am currently on the board of the Hastings Library Foundation and Head Start. I've performed in and directed local community theater productions and the annual variety show. My life and career have been about service, and that's why I'm running for city council. We do so many wonderful things here, but we can do better, and I have some ideas.
Hello, my name is Elba Iris Nazario. I was born and raised in the island of Puerto Rico, which is a territory of the United States. And I came here 2 years ago to be the pastor of a church. I stepped down in January because I wanted to explore other things. So the most logical thing was, get into politics. And I'm a servant. I serve my church, my community, my family, so I am running because I care deeply about people. And I think that all of us could serve if we have the heart of a servant. And I think that we have the responsibility to serve on some on some issue during your lifetime.
My name is Mark Rowan. My wife's name is Mindy. She's taught many of your kids, or grandkids, the piano. We have a little girl named Carly. We're pretty crazy about her. I put lots of pictures of Carly on Facebook. I'm presently on the city council, just ending up my first term. We also have two other kids, Colby and his wife, who live in Denver. Shelby and Christian. Christian's the choir director at Hastings High. Shelby's a lawyer here in town. And they have our grandkids who live right here in this town next door to us. My mom's in the orange shirt right over there. I really love this town. I'd like to keep living here and trying to make it better, whether I get re-elected or not. That's my hope and my goal. And thank you, League of Women Voters, for letting us be here.
Thank you. Reminder to keep the microphone up close to your face. Almost forgot to come over here. We now will have a question from Andy Ron from the Hastings Tribune.
As I begin speaking, you will notice a pattern developing. Very tediously, I'm going to ask you folks the same question that I asked to the previous panel, so that everyone will have an opportunity to respond to the same question. So, as it looks for ways to generate more revenue to cover city operations and capital needs, the Hastings City Council has been looking at such possibilities as enacting a restaurant tax. While many find appeal in the idea of allowing our visitors to help share in the costs of city operations through a restaurant tax, others worry that by raising the cost of prepared food and beverages, the city might inadvertently hurt those restaurant and bar businesses by prompting patrons to cut down on the number of visits they make. What is your view of a restaurant tax for Hastings?
I know that the idea of a restaurant tax has been discussed. I know it has worked in other communities. I believe it's something we're going to have to explore as a potential revenue source, but I'm not a huge fan. It tends to be aggressive, impacting poorer families more than wealthier families. And I'm also concerned about choosing one industry in particular and asking them to bear probably greater than their share of the sacrifice.
As a reminder, these are 30-second responses. Thank you.
Conceivably, I would agree with the restaurant tax. We don't have all the information that we need now. Of course, you have to see the pros and cons, but I don't think people are going to stop going to restaurants because of the tax. We have to see what the benefits are and the cons, but it is something that I would support when I have all the information.
The restaurant tax is up in the air, and I believe it's 1%, 1.5%, or 2%. So that is still yet to be determined about what we're going to be voting on. So that's still out there. I'm not terribly excited about it in this sense. I think we also need to make cuts and not just always raise taxes. So I appreciate what Lucinda Glenn was saying. Adding taxes is one idea, making cuts is another.
I guess I'd probably like to see it called an entertainment tax, more so than a restaurant tax. Like Lucinda said, share some of that burden with the movie theaters, with everything that you consider entertainment. I also think that there's not many things that get built in a lot of other cities without this entertainment tax. If you look at Kearney, if you look at Grand Island and their developments, if you look at the Pinnacle Bank Center in Lincoln, the big arena, that's all paid for with entertainment tax. When it comes down to it, it's 1 to 1.2%. If you got a $100 bill, you're going to pay another $1. If you're spending $100 on dinner, what's another $1? Thank you.
Thank you. Just making sure that the microphone gets where it needs to go. All right. Okay. How do you view the relationship between the city and Hastings Utilities?
Between the city
And Hastings Utilities.
Well, one is part of the other. Hastings Utilities supports the city, and I think they should have a very close relationship for the benefit of all of us.
The utilities is a huge group with lots and lots of say and lots of power, and they affect all of our lives 4 different ways: sewer, electrical, gas, and water. So they affect every single person in town times 4, so it's super important. I believe the relationship is good, but it's also one of respect. As sitting on the city council, there's lots and lots of talk about the utilities, and we are careful not to poke the bear too much, but to just appreciate them and do what we can to make their lives better.
Repeat the question. Is that you bet? And at any time, ask me to do that. How do you view the relationship between the city and Hastings Utilities?
Okay, so I guess the relationship, I'm pretty new to this whole political thing. I don't know, I guess, if we have a good relationship with the utilities. I would hope that we could all be adults and work together and do what's best for Hastings. So yeah, I would hope that we could all get along and make things work. One shouldn't have to bend over for the other, and we should all help each other.
The city of Hastings owns the utility, but the utility has a different mission and has to be responsible to the ratepayers. It puts the city in an unfortunate position sometimes. We're lucky we have at least an advisory board in between the ratepayers and the city to help smooth that ratepayer relationship. City can't just use the utility as a magic source of infinite revenue. There are limitations.
Did you go first? Okay, sorry, I kind of lost count here. Your next question. There is an abundance of negativity on social media these days. What can you, as a council member, do to reduce false information?
Oh, there is? Yes, there is a lot of that. It's too bad. I got off of Facebook when I started to see so much of that kind of thing, at least on those kinds of pages. It's too bad because sometimes there's folks that I'm friends with who think it's kind of fun to stick out their chest and kind of act bad and talk bad. And I don't know, some people just like to do that. As a city council person, I just encourage people to not participate. You don't have to read that stuff. I'd like to continue to just love and care about those people, whether or not they say nice things or not about me.
Would you pass it on down, please? It'll come back. I'm sorry, negativity, yes. There is an abundance of negativity on social media these days. What can you as a council member do to reduce false information?
Again, like I said earlier, be an adult, be the grown up, be the bigger person. If you're on the social media and stuff, you don't have to be on those pages. I mean, there is a ton of negativity, but it's not just Hastings. Social media is negative. I mean, you gotta have some tough skin, and to me, I guess I just don't follow those pages.
I'll tell the truth. I'll do my research. I'll use social media to spread truthful, important information to encourage engagement. But more importantly, how about if we actually talk to each other? Wouldn't that be refreshing? It's very difficult to determine someone's intent or tone sometimes from what they post. So let's just encourage engagement, back and forth conversation.
We have to distinguish what is gossip and what is slander. Gossip, it's okay, that's personal and you don't have to pay a lot of attention. But sometimes what people say about each other is just awful and serious. I think that, I lost my train of thought, like they got me. So I just.
As a reminder, if you have a question, raise your hand and someone will bring you a card and a pencil. And then raise your hand again with your question and it will come up this direction. Yeah, it should be candidate Glenn going first, I believe. Okay. What is your idea for a middle school crossing?
I think we need one. I think the city's been exploring it for years. The roadblock has been, you have to get the cooperation of the railroad. They're a creature of federal law, and they don't like to cooperate. What they've wanted in the past, I know, for some sort of bridge over that, was to close a whole bunch of crossings, which also causes problems. I would like to see this rise back to the top of the priority list, but I think we have to be realistic about how difficult that project is and how long it might take.
I agree that should go on the top of the priority list because that's our children and we have to protect them. And I know it will take time and it will take experts. Right now, again, I don't have all the information, but I would get involved in that since children and elderly are my priorities.
This is my topic, actually. We've been pushing about this. This is the most important thing that I see in the entire city council. This is the most important thing that I think that the city can do. So we found out we had to get a grant to do a study to tell us what would be the best way to solve the problem. So we're in the process of getting that grant. We lost, did not get it this first time, so we're applying for it now again. To get kids across those tracks to the middle school and to the water park is my top priority, and we are working on it as we speak.
I'm definitely no engineer or safety director. I do a lot of unsafe things in my life, but I would say that that's probably where we need to start, is getting with engineers, safety directors, people that have a little more knowledge in this than maybe what we do right now, because it feels like the whole city is kind of like, what should we do, but we know we need to do something. So we need to get with the people that have done something or know what they're doing and start there.
Okay, Elba should be, candidate Nazario should be first. Okay, what are your thoughts on levy and real estate appraisals?
My favorite question.
Happy to serve.
Well, I echo what others have said, that we are not, some of us are not politicians or experts, and I don't know much about levies, and my intention is to learn all that I can. I'm a fast learner, and I can do research and make sure that I learn all that I can so that when something like that comes to the table, I'll be able to participate in.
We don't get to affect the appraisals. Those are out of our hands. We don't get to have anything to do with those. All we can vote on is the levy, which is the percent of the appraised values that we get to collect taxes on. All we can do is try to not have that levy keep going up all the time, or at least if it's going to go up, try to restrain it some. So that's the answer.
I don't know a lot about levies, I'll be honest with you, over my head. As far as appraisals and real estate, things like that, we need to get more people in our tax base. We need to have more businesses in our tax base. Hastings needs to figure out how to retain some of the talent that's in Hastings through Hastings College, Central Community College, and how to keep those kids here so that we can have a larger tax base. Thank you.
Valuations are not the city council, valuations are the assessor. But matching available revenue to the ever-expanding community expectations regarding what they want is going to require good reasoning and judgment. We can't just cut our way out of a budget issue. The community and council will have to seriously consider who we are as a community and who we want to be, what services are essential, what are our priorities, what lifestyle do we want. Then we tackle the levy challenge by being clear about what our priorities are.
Okay, candidate Rowan will be answering first. This will be, might be our final question, not necessarily. Okay, what are some revenue options to help with the $2 million deficit besides cuts to services?
I propose it's twice that. I don't believe it's just 2 million. I believe if we quit taking money out of the employee health account, we find ourselves at a deficit of 4 million. That needs to somehow be curtailed. We are taking money out of the employee health account. I can just say somehow we've got to get people in the city council and in different positions of authority in town who will work to get businesses and people to move here.
The question again is, what are some revenue options to help with a $2 million deficit besides cuts to services?
Well, like Lucinda said, we can't cut our way out of everything, but we also can't tax our way out of everything. So we need to figure out how to work those together. Something like an entertainment tax or something small to start with, I think is not a terrible idea. And like I said just a second ago, I think we got to figure out how we retain the talent of Hastings to keep them in Hastings, rather than seeing them all move to Lincoln, Omaha, Kearney, Grand Island, wherever it may be. And then also bring in businesses that we can use to fill those houses and fill all those apartments buildings that we got now.
Can't cut our way out of a budget problem. We need to look at various tax revenue that's available to us, sales tax, entertainment tax. Mostly though, we need to grow our tax base, and that's going to involve some hard work in the recruiting and retention, emphasis on our ability to support entrepreneurship. We need to explore public-private partnerships more than we are doing currently.
To cut services and employees shouldn't be an option, because even though we might get money from that, it would be horrible for the people, especially for the people who do not have the resources. I think we're a bunch of people that, although not politicians, but I think we have the desire to do the best for Hastings. And I think that if we put our heads together, we can find creative ways to bring revenue.
Thank you. That should come on down here, because you already answered, right? Okay. We do have one more question. You are running to represent Ward 3. What do you believe Ward 3 needs most?
Unity, transparency, working with each other, working for the best thing for Hastings. I don't like Indian food, but that doesn't mean we should stop an Indian food place from coming. Y'all may like Indian food. And just because I'm not gonna eat there doesn't mean we shouldn't have one. And I'm not just talking about a restaurant, I'm talking about all things that Hastings does. Just because it may not be for me, it may be for one of you guys. And that doesn't mean that it won't be successful.
I'd like to see us really work on two things. One, supporting entrepreneurship in this community. I think that's where we get some growth and something we do better than everyone else. Second, childcare. We need to put together a childcare task force so that we can maximize the workforce that is already here. That right now, it doesn't have childcare, so they can't work.
I think we need more ethnic restaurants. I moved here from Chicago, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is the soul food? We need to work together and be creative. But because I won't benefit from this, doesn't mean that Lucinda will, or that this gentleman will.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
You are running to represent Ward 3. What do you believe Ward 3 needs most?
Lucinda Glenn's answer was wonderful. I'll just simply add one thing, which is outside the box, oddly enough. We need to have peace of mind because we solved the problem of getting kids over the tracks.
And you can just just hang on to, because that's where we're going to start our. All right, we are to the point where we will do closing statements. They will each have a 30-second closing statement, and we will begin with candidate Rowan, and then just move the microphone this direction.
Thank you for being here. It's real nice for you folks to be engaged. I've been to lots of city council meetings, and many times folks don't show up because they don't think anybody will really say anything of their valued time to go see. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for being here and for the invitation. And I think we have to look at things with fresh eyes sometimes. And maybe the council needs some fresh eyes to look at some issues and provide some solutions. And also, we need to work together with whether we agree with each other or not.
I'm a professional problem solver. I have been and always will be Hastings' greatest cheerleader. Together, I believe we can make this place we love even better. Remember that impossible is just an opinion. Thanks to the League for inviting us tonight, and I hope you all cast your vote for me in the primary on May 12th.
Just like to thank everybody for coming out again. Thanks to the LWV for having us. Appreciate you guys, all your involvement and being active. This is what we need more of. I wish there was twice as many people here that were paying attention and involved in Hastings. But we got a great community, and I think we've got great things ahead of us. Thanks for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause. Then we're going to take about 2 to 3 minutes to switch out for Ward 4. As we're getting ready, do remember that you have the opportunity to ask questions. The easiest way to ask, the only way to ask your question is to raise your hand, and one of the League of Women Voters from Hastings will get you a card and a pencil. gentlemen, if you'll please have a seat, we will commence with the Ward 4 Forum. Again, for those of you who just come in, I'm the moderator, Cheryl O'Curran, and this next forum is for Ward 4, and the candidates are seated at the front for you to, with their names and faces. We have candidate Edward Krantz, candidate Gloria Petticord, candidate Amy Sandine, and candidate Scott Voigtman has not responded to our request to be here, and so we know nothing, okay, except that he is not here. So we will commence then with these three candidates here tonight. The forum, of course, will be exactly the same in case you've just come in. We will start with 1 minute opening statements, and then each question will be a 30-second response. And at the end, we'll have a 30-second closing statement. Again, if you would like to ask a question, just raise your hand. There are members of the League of Women Voters who will come over and give you a card and a pencil. Raise your hand again, they'll pick it up, they'll bring it over here to these lovely ladies, and we'll make sure that I can actually read it. Okay, but we are going to begin right here in alphabetical order with our opening statements of 1 minute. Candidate Krantz.
Hi there, Edward Krantz.
And you'll have to hold that all the way up by your mouth.
Hi there, I'm Edward Krantz. A little bit about myself. Currently part-time as an ISO coordinator and the Corrective Preventive Action Programs at Debt Lansing Company. I've been there for about 45 years. Over that time, I started out as just a general laborer and worked my way into the supervisor positions. The experience has given me a good understanding of problem solving. I'm very good at that and long-term planning. The past 3 years, I've regularly attended city council meetings. I only missed a few of them at that time, and advocate for fellow citizens during that time. I volunteer at St. Cecilia's Church as a lector and extraordinary minister. I've also been active in the American Society for Quality Midland subsection, where I've held several board positions ranging from treasurer to chair, often multiple times. I'm running for city council to strengthen communication and ensure the citizens of the 4th Ward have consistent, reliable advocate. Citizens deserve clear, open communication from their elected officials. My decades of experience working with budgets and solving complex problems have prepared me to contribute to the meaningful way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Petticord.
Hi, I'm Gloria Petticord. I might not be a well-known figure, but I've been working behind the scenes for years. I've attended meetings, advocating for safe haven laws, volunteering, attending North Shore. I'm a thoughtful conservative who listens to their neighbors. I don't owe my allegiance to anyone. I'm not taking any money from anyone. I'm not a rubber stamp or prescribed vote. I think independently, make informed decisions, and I don't hold any personal grudges. I believe in fiscal responsibility, and I will return phone call, emails, even when we disagree. I think it's very important that we have open, honest communication. We hear a lot about transparency, but we really need to live it. And I've been married for 19 years. Sorry about that, Steve. I've lived in Hastings for 26 years. I'm a property manager, residential and commercial, so I know a little bit about kind of the lay of the land, and I love Hastings.
Candidate Sandy.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. I've really been pleased with the civic engagement I've seen lately. Thanks to the League of Women Voters for coordinating the event and the sponsors who helped out. I'm Amy Sandine. I would be proud to serve on the Hastings City Council. I chose to return here to my hometown 18 years ago because I believe this community and its future are worth being part of this body and helping you share your voice. After 3 decades of working in nonprofits in the social sector, I know how to bring people together and co-create action that serves the common good. My goals are simple: smart spending, strong local opportunities, and open, engaged leadership that truly listens to residents and makes ethical decisions that reflect the will of the people. I know we face challenges, and I know that city leadership is not about ideology or rhetoric. It's about solutions that help people thrive. If elected, I will work hard to make decisions that meet the needs of the people of Hastings. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have a question from the Hastings Tribune, Andy Ron.
And again, as it looks for ways to generate more revenue to cover city operations and capital needs, the Hastings City Council has been looking at such possibilities as enacting a restaurant tax. While many find appeal in the idea of allowing our visitors to help share in the costs of city operations through a restaurant tax, others worry that by raising the cost of prepared food and beverages, the city might inadvertently hurt restaurants and bars by prompting patrons to cut down on their number of visits. What is your view of a restaurant tax for Hastings?
Do I begin this one?
I'm sorry?
Is that me first?
No, it's,
I might go first.
Candidate Petticord, go first.
So sorry. First of all, I think we need to look at the budget. I think the name might be a bad look for Hastings. I think the entertainment tax is kind of better. Who's in charge of it? Where's the money gonna go? Basically, I'm not sure, but I think we would have to look at a whole lot of things, in my opinion.
Okay, double check your microphone too. Okay, and be sure to hold it right up.
So sorry.
Okay, thank you.
As I understand it, we're looking at a 1% restaurant tax, and I think 60% of people in our restaurants are visitors. I think we have some untapped potential in tourism where we can take advantage of that. So I think it might be a viable option, and it would be, I think, revenue that would help support the museum, which is in danger if we don't find some solutions. So I think it's worth looking at in combination with other solutions.
As far as the restaurant tax goes, what I've found out by going to the different people who work for, I'd say over 35–40% of them do not like it. They don't want it. They think it's going to hurt our businesses. So that's the majority of the people that I've talked to. It's going to raise 1 to 2% is what I'm being told. Trying to make up $2 million shortfall we have in our budget. It's got to come someplace. So I'm not sure whether restaurant tax is the answer to it. I do think that we do need to do some other things.
Okay, this is a rather lengthy question, so I will be happy to repeat it as needed. Prior to 2026, the city had already committed roughly $15 million in TIF, tax increment financing, and in 2026 committed an additional $15 million. How do you evaluate the impact of that level of TIF exposure on current residents moving forward, particularly in terms of diverted tax revenue and long-term fiscal capacity? Yes, I will.
TIF is complicated, as that question illustrates. I think we might have gotten to a point where we've used TIF to its greatest advantage and we need to start exploring some other options. I believe that it should be for operations supplying payroll and creating jobs, and that we might be at a saturation point with housing in TIF. I do have more research to do. I want to learn more and explore the options for finding solutions combined with that and maybe other ideas.
TIF is a great tool for different things. I do believe, agree with Amy said, it's been overused for housing. We've done a lot of housing. I can't see that we're getting any bang for our buck there though. I've asked HEBC and the Chamber of Commerce, they said that we needed 600 housing units to start up in order to get jobs in town. We've got over 300 of them started up, already people living in them, but yet I can't get any numbers on any new jobs or businesses that come into town. I think TIF should be used for getting businesses here and helping businesses grow.
I think Hastings has done a real good use of TIF. We do a pay-as-you-go plan, so our area of exposure of default is at a good rate. I think our TIF that we have used for apartments is saturated. I think if we use TIF for single-family homes that builds wealth, stability, and creates single-family homes, that creates a community. That creates what we need. Renters typically have a lower median income, and I think if we do single-family homes and businesses,
Thank you.
I know it's short, especially for that complicated of a question.
Right. I think we're first here at candidate Crohn's. Okay. How do we get more and a variety of restaurants to move to Hastings?
We're asking the wrong person that. We don't go out to restaurants very often, but when we do, we look for something that is cost effective for us, or that's not real expensive but not real cheap either. We need to get the HEDC and the Chamber of Commerce to work with other businesses that come into town. I'm not sure who those businesses are, but we do need to get them to work with them and bring them into town. And then once they're here, we need a group of citizens need to patronize those restaurants and not drive them out of town.
I think our culture, when we do get a really good restaurant, it seems like our culture is really great for the first couple of weeks, and then things start happening. But we really need to support the businesses that we do have, the restaurants that we do have, and once we support what we do have, it'll show other places that come in how good the people of Hastings support their own businesses. And that'll bring activity brings activity is what I'm trying to say.
I would love to see more restaurants. I think that what's outlined in the strategic plan that was formed out of the surveys of the community doesn't involve a priority there, specifically with restaurants. And if we are supporting the workers, providing the housing, providing the childcare, providing the social services for people to thrive here, they are more likely to eat out. So I think there are some foundational issues that we need to tackle with the help of the people before we bring lots of restaurants.
Thank you. The next question. There is an abundance of negativity on social media these days. What can you, as a council member, do to reduce false information?
You tell them the truth with a fact.
When people feel valued and heard, they are more involved in positive ways in civic health of the community. So I think community leaders need to be where the people are. Folks can't always get to the meetings. Not everyone's comfortable in town hall settings. So inclusion takes work. And if we want to include all residents, hear all voices, break down that negativity, then we need to figure out who's missing from the table, invite them in, and be creative about how to have community conversations in a collaborative way.
Social media is kind of a tricky thing that everybody has to deal with. There's all kinds of, like I said, negativity out there. I'm fairly new to it myself, but from what I understand, the best way to combat negativity is to be out there, be positive. Tell your story, tell it right. Don't be telling your lies, and get behind people that are being out there and doing a good job on social media. Don't turn them down and break them down to nothing. Just be nice to everybody.
Our next question. How might you plan to address the hugely increased and very fast traffic on North Elm Avenue?
I've had conversations with our neighbors about traffic on Elm, on 26th, around Hartwell, and I think there are some ways that we can create I can't remember what they're called. It's when you bring in the curbs so that it's not just a straight line, maybe some speed bumps, more signage, and maybe a little more patrol to monitor those areas that we know are problems. So I think talking to experts and figuring out ways that we can combat that problem.
those issues are one of the biggest issues we do have as far as questions I get on the Fourth Ward, talking to people out there. And some of the different suggestions I've had is, well, lower the speed limit. Getting pretty condensed with cars out there, so we need to lower the speed limit and enforce the speed limit. But if you wear stop signs up, maybe a stop light at 26 to down, so I also need to do something on the Showboat Road. That's another area that, especially in the morning and the late afternoons, lots of traffic there. It'd be hard to get in there and turn, get on the highway, making it unsafe.
I'm going to add 14th Street to that also. When the stop signs were changed, it made that a thoroughfare. But adding stop signs and adding some traffic lights also, and speed bumps, and all of these things together would definitely help, and that has been a huge concern.
Okay, sorry I have so many, okay. What are your thoughts and levy, try that again. What are your thoughts on levy and real estate appraisals?
Want the truth? They suck. I've been fighting that for years out here. They're necessary evil. We need to have the appraisals fair. I've gone down to people at the assessor's office know me quite well. I've gone down there and negotiated with them on our personal taxes. Over research, I found out that there's different areas that seem to be favored than other areas. We need to get that so that it's fair across the board. All the areas need to be the same, but we do need the levies to stay the same. We don't need to keep raising them every year.
Once again, it's a tough one. I think if you could sell your house for what it is, but I think we use, we say we're lowering evaluations and raise the levy. I think we need to do the whole story, and I think that's what gets confusing. And I think if we could do that, people would be not happier, but more satisfied with the answer.
Again, appraisals are outside of City Council's control, and all of those values change with other factors that are even greater than our city or county or state. And so the levies that we need to put, thank you, if we want to grow Hastings, we also need to invest. So we need to find ways to create that revenue stream that doesn't put us behind, but uses taxpayer money well.
I think it's candidate Petticord. Trying to keep my finger on the right name here. Okay. So in follow-up to that, what are some revenue options to help with a $2 million deficit besides cuts to services?
After you've listened to everybody, all of the ideas kind of run together, but we do need businesses being brought in, which is part of the HEDC, not us. And it'd be nice to have more reporting, accountability, more reporting. I think when we do get people in town for these big softball tournaments and these big tournaments, if we could seize that economic opportunity from all of those families that come in for the hotels, perhaps.
I agree, we could properly leverage the occupancy tax, the lodging tax. Again, I think we have untapped potential in tourism. We could look at a half-cent sales tax, we can consider that restaurant tax. Maybe excessive users could pay a fee on utilities, that would be mostly businesses and corporations. Facade grants have been used well, like PACHA, for instance, is an example there. And LB 840, which is the Local Option Municipal Economic Development Act from the 90s that over 50 towns in Nebraska have used effectively that we could explore.
Right on there.
We don't need to cut services. Most of our services are what I feel about where we need to be: the police, the fire department, ambulance services, they're all about what we need to be. We can do a little bit more cutting in the capital investments. There's a big difference between wanting something and needing something. If you need it, you have to budget for it. If you just want it, maybe put off another year if you need to. Other than that, I agree with a lot what Lucinda said. Lucinda said, Amy, sorry. That we can, thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Sandine should be first. You are running to represent Ward 4. What do you believe Ward 4 needs most, and how can you help that along?
I believe Ward 4 needs council representatives who will continue to invite input, listen to constituents, act responsibly and in the best interest of the people of Hastings. The people of Hastings are at the top of the governance chart when you look at the city budget, which is 371 pages long, by the way. So I'm willing to look at that, look at all the ways that we can help the people in Ward 4 and across the city. And we can maintain our parks, we can engage with the Hastings College campus, which I think is the largest employer in the ward, and look at those safety issues with the traffic flow.
But Ward 4's told me that as I've been out there, they said they need an advocate to represent them. Every time I knock on a door and talk to people, I don't tell them I'm just a candidate. I ask if I can represent them, not me, not them representing me. So I'm out there working for the people of the 4th Ward. We do need to get better communication. There's a lot of issues there to where people feel that they cannot communicate with the city council. They feel they can't communicate with the people running for city council. Trying to get that information out there, I always give them my address, or not my address, but my email and Facebook page so they can get a hold of me. We do need to work with HEDC. Thank you.
I heard a lot about traffic. I heard a lot about traffic on 14th, and I heard a lot about traffic on Elm. So I really feel that is our top priority, and safety around Crozier Park, especially when there's T-ball, when there's practices, those kids crossing the street from the Crozier Park Monastery, getting off the bus, and going to the new fabulous park that we have. We just really need to focus on traffic and safety for those kids. That's what I heard about, especially around Harwell Park, also.
Thank you. We will, and that will go to candidate Sandine. We are going to now conclude with our 30-second closing statements for each candidate. We'll begin with candidate Sandine and just move this direction.
Thank you. I want to help build a strong, connected Hastings. I will listen to you and make thoughtful decisions that reflect the needs and values of the entire community. I care deeply about our future. I know we face challenges. We can find thoughtful, balanced solutions that benefit everyone. We are the people we've been waiting for. Nobody else is going to build the town we want to live in. You have my respect, and I'm honored by your trust and support. I hope to earn your vote on May 12th. Thank you.
My campaign is entirely self-funded. I'm not accepting any contributions from anybody for anything. I'm personally knocking on doors. We've hit over 2,100 doors already to meet the citizens of the 4th Ward. I want to hear their concerns and earn their trust. I want to listen, understand, and work towards solutions that benefit our community. I do thank the League of Women Voters for putting this forum on. I think it's good for everybody to listen to what candidates have. And one last thing, if you haven't filed your taxes yet, you got till tomorrow. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to everybody here. I'm very excited that we're all here because we all love Hastings, and this is just great. I think it's just great that you have 3 great candidates to choose from. I love Hastings. I could sell it all day long. I think it's a great place to be. And I think with new members joining the council, we have a great opportunity to move past the division that is currently on the city council. And I think what could truly matter is that we can bring strength to our community, and that the city council can truly focus on creating new opportunities for our city.
At this time, I'll take a quick moment, let's thank these candidates, and then I can close it. The League of Women Voters would like to thank the candidates, the medias, the sponsors, and the audience. Please take a paper listing the upcoming LWVH forums, and please take a card explaining the voter ID requirement that started with the 2024 election cycle. The next League of Women Voter Hastings Candidate Forum will be at noon on April 24th for the county commissioners, right here at the YWCA. The 2026 primary election will be Tuesday, May 12th. Take your government issue ID. And ladies and gentlemen, please vote. Thank you for coming.